I just love the feeling that it gives me to watch a flag unfurl in the wind. And this area of small Keene, Texas has the streets lined with flags, and I just find it so beautiful. And this is my inspiration for fun decor to add that patriotic theme into our home. Now, don't forget to stick around until the very end, and I'll have a hint on one of next week's projects. So, let's get started. Hi, my name is Leslie, and welcome to Happy Tuesday. And here's a preview for this week's 7 projects. And all 7 projects will be using red, white, and blue fabric. So, full disclosure on this first craft, I actually lost the original footage. So I'm recreating with the scraps that I've got left after I finished all the projects. These super cute red, white, and blue fabric flower firework bursts. So first thing I did was to take some foam board, and I took the wooden ring that I'm using to make this flower on and traced the inside of it onto the foam board and cut that out, and then took a little scrap of, in this case, red fabric. I did alternate. I did one red and one blue, and I made a little button center for my fabric flower. Now, in the original one that I made, I used the scraps from several other projects that I did this video, and just tore them and took off all the extra string edges, and then we're just going to fold it in half, and we are going to put the inside through that ring and then pull the ends through the outside of the ring. And I believe for this 1-inch ring I had 21 pieces of this fabric that I put all around the ring, and I squunched it in so that it was super tight and you wouldn't see any of the wood. Now, if you don't have any of these wood rings, you could make bigger flowers by using the shower curtain rings that you can find at the Dollar Tree. So after I got all of these around my wooden ring, then I just took my center and I pushed it in so that it, number one, would stay, but number two, kind of poked out towards the front. And then I just took one of these wooden skewer sticks that I got from the Dollar Tree, or you could use dowels or cut down the big barbecue ones that you can find at Dollar Tree, and I glued that onto the back. And then I took some ribbon and a little metal pail from the Dollar Tree and that little Americana gnome, and I cut him down and decorated this all together. And I think it turned out super cute. And that will bring us to project number 2. Project number 2 was also made from some scraps. And so you can see I'm just cutting some more scraps that I had, and I am getting ready to make some scatter balls or some filler balls. And these are the styrofoam balls that you can find at Dollar Tree in the small and medium size. And I just took some of that Mod Podge and put a little on top of the styrofoam and then put some onto the fabric. And I did that for all my little fabric pieces. Now, for the thicker fabric, my red, white, and blue fabrics, I cut really small pieces. You can see there, they're probably no more than, somewhere between a quarter, half inch wide. And I made them small because trying to wrap them around that ball, I didn't want it to get too thick in places, and I wanted to be able to manage it. Now, I am going to use a flour sack towel, say that 3 times fast, and make a white one, because I thought after I had, a couple of red ones and a couple of blue ones, that it just needed, oops, what a mess I am making. It just needed a little bit of white contrast in there for my little basket. And so I am so I will use thicker pieces of that flour sack towel. And we'll talk again about that when I get there. So I am just continuing to add Mod Podge onto my pieces, trying to, keep everything from sticking to my fingers. This is definitely making a little bit of a mess, but I think it just turns out so cute. So once I get all the fabric pieces on there, then I will give the whole ball a quick coat of Mod Podge just to seal everything in. And you can see I had one last scrap left and two pieces, so I'm just going to cut this in half and use half for each of those little openings that is left, and that will complete this ball. So you can see how quick they go. And so you can make as many as you want with all kinds of different red, white, and blue fabrics. So I'm just going to, here it is, giving that quick coat of Mod Podge all the way around, making sure that it's not sticking to my fingers as I go. And then I had to find a little way to dry it. So here's the flour sack towel, and I had some scrap pieces left over from something else I did, and they were already this big size. And so I decided to go ahead and use this, and I'm going to do the same technique, putting the Mod Podge on the ball and on the fabric. And you can see, because this is so thin, it is really moldable on here. And once I got it done, I thought, you know what this looks like? This looks like a snowball. So maybe we'll see this come out again at Christmas. Who knows? But after I get all my pieces on, and because they're thicker and longer, it didn't require as many pieces. I want to say I probably only used 3 or 4 pieces for this little ball. But after I got that all done and all the balls dried, I put them in one of those little Dollar Tree baskets that they have over in their beachy themed area, and this project is complete. Make sure you let them all dry really well so that they don't stick together, but here we are. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, and click the bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a video. And here we are with project number 3. This is one of my favorites. So we are going to make a fabric star and fabric fireworks. I am using this metal star from the Dollar Tree as my template for my fabric star, and I'm just going to use a pen and fold over the fabric and draw the outline, and then we'll cut that out. And this is going to be a no-sew project. Now, if you want to pull out your sewing machine to do these, you are more than welcome, obviously. But I am going to just make it as super simple as possible, and I like to use this liquid stitch as the no-sew option. And a little goes a long way, so you don't need much. Make sure that you shake the container before you start, otherwise you're going to get a big glob of just wet water. But just put a tiny bit around the edges, and it takes about 15 minutes or so to dry. So I'm going to set that aside and start working on my fireworks. And it holds, and it's also washable and ironable after that 15, I think it might even say 30 minutes. So I'm just going to take this Dollar Tree fabric that I have and unroll it and just eyeball what I think is going to make for a good size firework, and we are going to make 2 of these. And once we've got them cut out, then I am going to take the blue fabric, and this is actually a fat quarter from Walmart, and I think it was $1.24 or something like that for the fat quarter. But we are going to make the blue tops for these, so we're just going to cut a little rectangle piece, and again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it, and we doubled over the fabric, so we only have to cut once for each firework. And then this second firework's a little bit wider, so we're going to adjust our fabric for the width of this firework, and we'll use the other one as our template so that we get them about the same size. And once we've gotten those cut out, then we are going to glue the tops and the bottoms together. So we'll just put another little dollop of that liquid stitch down and put our top on the red bottom, and then we will do that for all four and set them aside. We have all the pieces done. We're going to pull out our little Cricut mini press, and we're going to give it all just a quick press to get all the wrinkles out and make sure that everything is sturdy. And once we've gotten that done, then we are going to go ahead and glue the fronts and the backs together and get ready to start stuffing. Now that star has sat long enough that we can go ahead and get it stuffed while the fireworks dry. And I am just using this little paintbrush and to help me get the stuffing all the way down into the star pieces. And once we've gotten it everywhere, then we will get that last little star point, and we're going to glue this. Now on these, we are just gluing the fronts and the backs together. We're not turning them inside out. And so it'll kind of have a rustic, raw, rough edge, if you were. But I love that look for these. We'll make another project later that we're actually going to use the liquid stitch with and pull it inside out. So once we've gotten everything stuffed, then we will move on to decorating. Now I used some of that wired twine to make the little firecracker tops, and I did have to use some hot glue to kind of keep that twine on that wire. But then I'm just going to take another piece of twine and make a little bow on there, and this project is complete. And I think these fireworks are so stinking cute. And I just love the rustic that they give to my tiered tray decor. And that will bring us to our next project, project number 4. And these are the sweetest and easiest flags. Now I just took some other scrap fabrics that I had so I could make a couple of different combinations of red, white, and blue. And we're going to take this skewer stick. It's one of those big barbecue sticks from the Dollar Tree, and kind of measure off. And I will cut my stick. It's a total of 36 inches, I believe, or 32 inches maybe. And I cut one 8-piece, one 10-piece, one 12-piece. So one 8-inch, one 10-inch, and one 12-inch piece. That way I could get the staggering heights, but you could, have them whatever size you wanted. And here you can see I've got this little scrap of fabric. We're just going to use that and cut it out as our blue star area and get that all ironed out. Now you'll notice, or maybe you didn't, but I'm going to tell you, on the red piece, I do have a little flipped over side. You can see it's already creased right there, but that's what we're going to use to glue it onto that skewer stick. So you'll notice this fabric tears really easily. Just made a little snip in it and tore it. I think the rough edge just gives it a really cool appearance. So we're just going to make 3 of these with the different fabrics, and then we will get them all ironed out with that Cricut mini press. And once we've got that done, we are going to use that liquid stitch again, and we are going to glue the tops on, the blue stars onto our red stripes. And then, well, here we are measuring off that skewer stick, and we're going to use miter shears and clip that off. And then we've got one more step before we glue all this together. So there's my miter shear box, and we're just going to get those clipped off. Now, because I want these flags to be kind of displayed, I am going to use some of this fabric stiffener and spray it on there and put it in between a couple pieces of parchment paper and use that Cricut mini press again. And we are just going to give it a real good coat so that the flag will be stiffer as it hangs on this skewer stick. And we're just going to use hot glue to glue it on there. And once we've got all three done, I found this little jar container at Michael's, I believe it was, on their clearance, and I'm going to use some of these clear glass rocks that I have and put those down around my floral foam so that I kind of cover all that up, but it gives the flags a place to go. And then we're going to use some of these white rocks that I got from the Dollar Tree and add the white rocks in there as well. And so we're just going to mix the white rocks with the clear rocks and then get our flags all stuck in here, and this project will be complete. And I love the way they look together, and you can see that fabric stiffener really does help to stiffen them up a little bit. I could have made them stiffer. You just add more of the spray and iron it on until you have it the way you want it. But these are so sweet and, you know, just cute scraps of fabric. And here's another fabric scrap piece, project number 5, and this is so simple and quick. So I'm going to take my little palette and I'm going to put a little bit of antique wax on there, and you could totally skip this step if you wanted. You don't need to antique wax it, but I thought for any of the edges that might show through, that would just give it a finished appearance to it. So we're just going to give that one quick coat with a baby wipe, and then I'm going to use my painter's tape and put my star on there and give it a quick coat of white paint. That way I'm not getting white paint all over me. And then we are going to take our red fabric and measure it off against our palette and figure out the width that we need, and we will get that torn off and again give that rustic edge to the project. And we're going to tear off 2 long ones and 1 really long one, and we're going to cut it in half, and that'll be used for the 2 short stripes. And once we've gotten those all done, and I'll pull off all the extra little strings that are hanging around, I'm just going to see how they go up here on my palette, and then we will cut out the little blue pieces that will go as our stars in the corner. So I'm just going to again cut a long piece there and trim it off to get the right size that we need. And before I put all this together, I am going to iron out these pieces just so that they're flat and the gluing process is easier. So once we've gotten our little blue pieces, then we'll again use our Cricut mini press and get these all ironed out really well. And I'm going to trim off a few of the little frayed looking edges that I didn't want in my project. And once we've got those all done, and we are going to start assembly. Now I am going to put the blue on first and just measure off those 2 pieces, make sure they're the same. And I'm just going to use hot glue for this project with my detail nozzle on my hot glue gun, so we're not getting a ton of hot glue, and that way you won't get, you know, all the bumps and ridges and whatnot. And you know, I'm really smoothing it out when I get it on that palette, so it's flat. And once we've gotten our 2 long stripes on, and I'm just going to glue a little bit on the one edge and then pull it taut as I glue the remainder, and that way it's, you know, flat and smooth. And then for the 2 short stripes, I'm actually going to start from the right hand side and glue left so that I can make sure that they are even up with the blue stripes and not too long or not too short, or, you know, just right. And then once we've got the red pieces all situated on there, then we will finalized with the last little bit of our decor addition details that you see over there on the right. We're going to use Scrabble USA and get our star on there. Here's where I trim it off so that we make sure that our red and our blue are even and looking pretty. And then we will just finish off this project. So super cute, but so simple. And I am, to match it with the rest of my decor, I'm going to use my handy dandy little brown ink pad and just give everything a little rustic brush up, and that will complete our project. I just think it is so stinking cute, and something nice and unique to do with those little pallets from the Dollar Tree. Isn't it adorable? And that will bring us to project number 6, and this is another unique way to use scraps. So I bought this little shadow box thing at Hobby Lobby on clearance a few years back, so it was 69 cents. And we are going to sand off all the words on there, and then I will give it a little coat of paint. And then I took the Mod Podge on my 7 stars, and we're going to set those aside and let those dry, and get that coat of paint on top of here. Now you could have just left it that rusticy kind of look. That would have been cute too, since we're using, this rustic fabric appearance to this project, but I wanted mine painted white, so we're going to just give it a real quick coat of white chalk paint by Waverly, and then we will move on to working on those stars. And for each of those stars, we're going to put fabric on there, but we are going to use our Cricut mini press again. And so I'm going to get those lined up and figure out where the stripes kind of all fall on there, and cut a little strip off. You can see we're using up all of this fabric today. And then you just give that a good swipe over with the mini press and get those all stuck down. And then we're going to do the same with the blue star for the stars. So we've got 2 for that. And we're going to cut just a little piece of scrap fabric and get the blue on those 2 stars. Instead of parchment paper, I am using my Teflon sheets to use as my iron buffer on these stars. And I bought my sheets, I want to say they were on Temu for like 2 for $2 or something like that. I love that I can use them over and over again. So now I'm going to cut everything and separate it off, and then I am pulling out my handy dandy utility knife, and we're going to cut right around the edges and get all that fabric off. And then I'm going to take my heavy duty nail file, and we're going to file off any of the excess edges that my utility knife didn't get off. And you can see I've got a few little strings hanging there, and we're just going to give it a real quick sand, and that will make for really clean edges. And of course I've got to use my brown ink pad and rustic up my edges a little bit on all of the stars. And once I've got that done, I'm going to measure off the center, and I use my Cricut, but you could just use letters from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to put Land of the Free in the center, and then glue the stars all the way around. And to finish off this project, we are going to just make a little tiny messy bow with some of our leftover scraps that we had from some of our other projects that we've done, and just a mixture of a couple of different reds and a blue, and tie that together with a little piece of scrap fabric, and get that all glued on, and this project will be complete. And I think it is so stinking cute. I love it. And it looks really cute on my fireplace mantle, or you could use it for a shelf sitter anywhere. And we're just going to give everything a quick dollop of hot glue, and that will complete this project. It doesn't have to be difficult to be beautiful. What do you think? And that is going to bring us to project number 7, and I think this owl is the cutest project of the whole video. To start, I'm going to just take a pencil and a blank piece of paper, and I am just going to freehand what I think this owl should look like. So I gave him a big wide base, and then a couple little ears and a head. And we're going to cut this out, but I'm going to separate the top from the bottom. So if you'll notice, I'm just going to give it a snip snip right here across the top half, and that we are going to make out of blue, and the bottom half we are going to make out of red. And as you can see, when I pull out my fabric, we're getting to the last of these scraps, and so we are going to make it the best we can with what we've got available. And I decided after I drew this out and cut it that I wanted the top and the bottom to be just a little bit longer than what they were, to give us some room, because we're going to also use that liquid stitch on here. And so we'll start with the blue, and here's a little scrap that's not going to be quite big enough, so we're going to pull this piece out and find a section that's going to be big enough for our little owl head, and we will get that cut out. And of course we're going to fold it over so that we only have to cut once, and we'll get both pieces that we need. So you can see I'm just giving it a little bit of extra fabric down there at the bottom to allow for cutting the head just a little bit longer than what my pattern is. And here's the last of what we have left of the red, so we're going to fold it the other direction so that we have just enough to be able to make that bottom half. Now the only thing I would have done different on this than what I did do was to, when I got ready to fill it, I wished I would have put rice down in the bottom. Now because my piece is so small, I'm going to use my pen and kind of draw around the edges that are needing to be cut, and then that'll kind of give us our outline. And some of it was right there on the edge, so we just trimmed that off, and we're going to do the same thing to the top and just make it a little bit longer. So we'll use our pen and kind of draw around the outside edge, give ourselves a border to cut on. And I couldn't hardly see that blue pen on that blue fabric, so I needed just to get started. And then we're going to get the rest of this cut out here. And because I folded it over there, we'll cut that fold piece so that we have two separate for a front and a back. Now on this one, we are going to again pull out our Cricut Easy Press and iron out all the edges from the folds from that fabric being folded up, so that we have a flat piece to work with, and on the front and the back. And then we are going to glue the tops and the bottoms together, but different from the other ones that we've done. When we get ready to glue the two sides together, we're going to glue them inside out so that the outside will be on the inside, and then we'll pull it out through before we get ready to stuff it. So while those are drying, I've got this little scrap piece of muslin, and I'm going to iron it flat, and we're going to make a little bow and use this as a little bit of the decor. And at this point I wasn't quite sure how much of this we were going to need, so I took my whole scrap and ironed it. But I'm just going to make a little tie bow here, and then I'm going to take another little piece of this scrap fabric, and I'm going to make him two eyeballs. So we're just going to kind of eyeball the cut, and see there, you can see his nice little two eyeballs. And the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to take some of this embroidery floss in a brown color, and I am actually going to stitch him on a little triangle nose. Now, if you don't have embroidery floss or you're not really too sure about stitching on a nose, then you could also maybe cut out a piece of brown fabric or some brown felt, or you could take another little piece of that muslin and use some fabric paint and paint it brown, and make a triangle and glue that on there. But I decided to give it a little bit different texture to it and just stitch our little nose on there, and I just made a little triangle. I just thought it added a little cute piece to it. And now we're going to start putting this together. So we are going to take the outsides of these fabrics and put them in. And we are going to add some of that liquid stitch around the outside edge. And we're going to glue it all the way around, just leaving a hole at the top where we can pull the fabric through and a place to put our stuffing in. Now for stuffing, you can, I have this huge bag of stuffing that I bought years and years and years ago that I'm just using. But if you have an old pillow, you could use old pillow fiber. And while that dries, I'm just going to take some of this little wire and I'm going to make him a couple little claw feet out of this wire. And he's all dry now, so we're going to push that fabric all the way through, and make sure as you get his ears that you push it all the way through, but don't poke through the ears. So I'm just going to use this dowel real gently and just kind of push his ears out. And I'll use that same thing whenever I get ready to stuff his ears to make sure that the stuffing gets all up in there good and well. Now once I get the bottom all kind of pushed out, I am going to take his little legs and I'm going to poke tiny little holes in the bottom of this so that I can put his legs in, and I will glue secure those down towards the end when I'm finishing him all up. But I just wanted to have his legs there before we got the stuffing done so that I wasn't trying to poke through the stuffing. And take a little bit more of that liquid stitch and put it on our muslin and get his eyeballs on there. And then to add some more character to his eyeballs, I'm going to take some of these little stickers that I have from Hobby Lobby. They come in a sheet for like $2 or something. And I'm just going to put on some black eyeball dots and get him all nice and stuffed. Again, this is where if I had thought differently, I would have started stuffing him with some rice so that he had a good bottom to sit on. But since he doesn't have a good bottom to sit on, he just has to lean up on my tiered tray. That's okay. So we'll just add a little dollop of glue on there and get his feet attached to his body, and I think they're just the whole thing is just stinking cute. So to close up the top, we're going to fold over that top edge so that it matches with the rest of it and gives it a finished look. And then I'm going to take my finger dauber and some of that brown ink pad and just give him a little bit of kind of antiquing, if you were. And I'm going to do that all around the top, all around his eyeballs, and across all of the white stripes through his whole body, front and back. And then you'll see over there to the right, I made that little bow, and I used my letter stamps and stamped on there USA and glued that on. And I just think he is just the most adorable little owl, and I love him sitting on my tier tray. Comment below and let me know which one was your favorite from today. I still have to say, even though I love them all and I love red, white, and blue decor, that owl is just stinking cute. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I really did enjoy our time together. Now, since you stuck around until the very end, I'll give you a hint on one of next week's projects. You are going to need the wooden star that you can find at Dollar Tree.
and some paint. Yes, it'll be red, white, and blue. But until then, make it a great day and happy Tuesday!